everyone, and welcome on this new episode of my masterclass podcast on healing wounds with the Osfour self-coaching model. In today's video, we are going to talk about your inner obstacles. But also remember that by the end of this video, you will have a magic question, and if you send me an email with the correct answer, you have the link below here, you will win a free coaching session using the Osfour self-coaching model with me. And welcome back on this new episode of my masterclass podcast on healing wounds with the Osfour self-coaching model. My name is Sofia Osfour and I'm a life coach, a mentor, a master practitioner in NLP and the creator of the Osfour self-coaching model, aka the Swiss knife model. But in case you have no clue what I'm talking about, let me quickly introduce what is the Osfour self-coaching model. So this model is a model that I've created that is either a process or a tool. As a process, it is designed to transform negative experiences into powerful life lessons, and basically you have to think about this model as a washing machine where you take a difficult experience that you have been through, we put it in and we go through the whole process, and by the time you finish, what you are left with is the wisdom that this experience has to teach you without the emotional charge. And when you use the model as a process to self-coach yourself, not as a process, when you use the model as a tool to self-coach yourself, there's 4 basic questions that this model teaches you to always ask yourself when you are facing a moment of crisis, such as procrastination. This was the video that I just posted on Monday. And those questions are simple. What is happening? What is it exactly that is hurting about what's happening? What needs to change? And how do I change it? Those 4 questions are connected to a skill, and the more you develop the skills, the more you can develop your self-awareness. And if you watch other podcasts that I've sent previously, self-awareness is the key of everything, because as I always say, if you don't know what's happening inside of you, then who's supposed to know? Finally, just for you to know that every Monday I send a video on my YouTube channel where I choose as a difficult situation. Like I said, the one that I just sent on Monday was about procrastination, and I teach you how to basically self-coach yourself using the Osfour self-coaching model. You have also a free worksheet that you can find. There's a link below that teaches you the basic of how to use the model. So when you watch the videos on YouTube, you follow this podcast and you have the worksheet, you basically set up. At least I teach you here the basic, but if you are interested about learning the whole model, then you can always go on my website to find my coaching package. And every Wednesday I send also I post this podcast. It is also designed to support the videos, the worksheet, but I'm trying to do something a bit new now, and always try to add up some more information and knowledge so that really you have all the tools that, in my opinion, everybody should have. That's why I created this model in the first place. But there's also other information that you can have, and that's what I'm going to do on this podcast, so that you can always, the more information you have, the more you're going to become skillful in self-coaching yourself, basically. And that was the purpose of this podcast. Okay guys, so let's start. Okay guys, so let's clarify what is an inner obstacle. So basically an inner obstacle is obviously something that comes from within, right? And it basically stops us from performing at the level that we could, or it prevents us to simply accomplish our goals, right? Usually it could be a belief, a behavior, or in general, it's something about your psychology, The biggest difficulties about our inner obstacles, and whenever we talk about being self-aware, that's really something you want to know about, because if there is something that stops me or slows me down, I want to be aware of it. So I thought for this episode we're going to do an exercise which I think would be very good for anyone who wants to be self-aware of, okay, why am I not performing at the level that I want? So you're going to see a picture here And this is a model that is called the index of computation. And as you can see in this model, you see is that you have a head, you have a heart, and you have a body, right? And it's basically to say that we as a human being, right, we can be divided in three parts, right? Our head, which is, everything that happens mentally, our reflection, our thoughts, our heart, which is, it's got to do with everything, our emotions, and finally our body, which is our behavior, right? And so when you are in a situation and you want to perform but you can't really, you don't manage to do the performance that you feel as though you could achieve, or you want to accomplish something and it's not working, you want to find out where is the inner obstacles. Because listen, usually the outside obstacles are not the real obstacles. The real obstacles, because I tell you what, when somebody is aligned, body, mind, and heart, right, and they are, going towards a goal, there is nothing that can stop them. So usually what you found is that the stuff that it really stops us happens inside of us, right? So you definitely want to find out, okay, what is it that stops me? So as you can see in this picture, you can find out which one it is, right? And listen, you don't need to be, like, it doesn't need to be a complicated thing, okay? Because you will, as you practice this and as you practice self-awareness, you're gonna start knowing and noticing stuff. One thing is for sure is that if you're thinking, for instance, I'm not good enough, or, this is too hard, for sure, that everything starts from your thoughts, right? So this could be the most basic reason why you don't perform at the level where you are, because, the way you're thinking, the thoughts process, right? The other thing is that, of course, your emotions, because any thoughts, as you know by now, will trigger a set of emotions, right? So if I don't feel good enough, I'm going to feel overwhelmed, I'm going to feel sad, I'm going to feel angry, frustrated, whatever emotions, but those are going to be connected and there will be a reason. But the number one places is, your thoughts, if this is the first place where it starts. And I'm saying the first place because someone, can have, like, for instance, someone who's a perfectionist, as, the previous video that I just posted on Monday, this was the subject of this week, it's not necessary at this point that they really think that hard, in their case, these two things is that, one, their standards are so high, right, that they're impossible to reach, but also, what is at stake. That's the thing with the perfectionist, that what is at stake. And usually what is at stake is the sense of identity, it's who I am. If I fail, at this task, then it is my entire identity as a person who is gonna fall apart, right? And so to find out that means that there's a whole, that's why most people who are perfectionists, they will feel overwhelmed, they will be like completely taken by this incredible level of emotions that they're not going to be able to control, right? So there's stuff that's happening, of course, in the thoughts, but at that level, it's not even the thought anymore, it's the emotions, And, it's a very, it's very good places to observe that is when you look at athletes, sports people. They're very good because in their case, in order for them to be able to perform at the level they perform, they constantly have to be able, of course, to manage their thoughts, manage their emotions, and of course, then they can manage their behavior. And one very good example I'm thinking about right now, is a tennis player. But now he's kind of old, but it was Marat Safin, and when Marat Safin started back in the day, he was considered a gifted player, he was tall, handsome as hell, but anyway, what was interesting about him is that he had all of those gifts. Like, people were saying, yeah, this guy is natural, da, 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 da. But he had trouble to manage his emotions. And so when the game was going on, what was happening is that if he would lose a set or something, then you could see that emotionally he would crumble down and he would not be able to keep up with the pressure, because it's tremendous pressure. And so what you see is that, like, especially for tennis, but any other sports, to be honest, is that to be able to manage your emotion is very important. Finally, of course, the third place that could be an inner obstacles is your behaviors, of course, and if you have like, behaviors that you can't control, I don't know, you overeat, you spend hours, watching, stupidity on Instagram and YouTube and whatever. That could be a problem if you can't control it. So the important place here is to ask, okay, where is my problem come from? Okay, and listen, at first ask this kind of question, then monitorize what kind of answer is coming, and trust yourself. You know the answer. The whole point about the Osfour self-coaching model is that you have the ability to coach yourself, and you have the answer. It's just that you haven't practiced, that. So ask yourself, and let's see what's coming out, and observe what's happening inside of you. Observe, be an observer of what's happening. And maybe you're not going to have the answer straight away. For me, I have been practicing this for a while now, so of course I know exactly where the problem comes from. But for you, if you're new to use the model, just keep on practicing and observing. Even for me, I'm sometimes in the moment, and I'm doing this more and more, and I'm like, okay, what is happening here? Okay, where is exactly the problem? Is it in the head? Is it in the emotions? Or is it in the body, Obviously, on the first part of the model, right, you have, the places where it says, okay, perception, they trigger your thoughts will trigger your emotion trigger a belief, and finally that belief will trigger a behavior, right? So of course, on the first part of the model, you already have the index of computation, where you basically, how can I say, cut, all into detail, so that you understand, okay, what is exactly what's happening here. Okay, why is it that I can't achieve this thing, or why is it that I don't perform at the level that I think I could, or that I used to? And obviously this is already part of the model, but the thing that I always want you to remember is that your perception is really the key of everything, because I've said that many times. Our perception, if you have a negative perception of a situation, it will disconnect you from your resources and your resourcefulness, right? So let's imagine that I'm in the middle of doing something, and then there's something happen. I'm thinking, for instance, Mara Safin, playing, and now he just lost, or he made a mistake and he lost a set. In that moment, your perception or your judgment of yourself is going to define if you're going to be able to access your resources and your resourcefulness. And that's for all of us, okay? I'm just reading my notes, you guys, because there's so much to say. Finally, yes. Finally, when it comes down to perfectionism, as I said, the biggest problem with people who are perfectionists is that, one, the standards are too high, and there's something that is too, like, what is at stake, okay? So here's something that anyone can do, and it is to basically remove what is at stake. If I'm thinking, if I make this presentation, and if I make a mistake, oh my God, it's going to be the end of the world, and that means that who I am as a person is at stake because everybody's going to mock me or everybody's going to judge me badly. What you can do is to remove what's at stake. So instead of doing whatever presentation or whatever is that you want to do, I'm thinking about, you know what, someone I was working with, and I mean, this person was frightened to sing in public. And it was really funny because we worked together, and at some point she came up with this idea, which I thought was so amazing. She decided to go and sing in the underground. Because, you know, she used to go and sing in places where, like, there was a gig and she was paid and there was a public and people had expectation, and then she had expectation and she had this. And so it was so much pressure for her that then as soon as she would step in front of the microphone, she would completely lose the control and, you know, of her voice and everything. And she would even, like, forgotten the words or something. So what she started to do, you know, to remove, because that's what we were working on, was like remove what's at stake, you know. And so once she did that, she decided, you know what, I'm gonna go and sing in the underground. Like, nobody knows me, nobody cares about me, nobody's even, you know, listening. And so what it did is that it helped her build the confidence that she had, because, I mean, people at first wouldn't listen to her. But then as she started to feel more comfortable, she built this confidence, and then people will actually stop to actually listen to her, right? So if you're a perfectionist and you want to achieve something, one, lower the standards, two, remove what's at stake. Find a different place where you can perform, or whatever is it that you're trying to do, perform in your closet, or find friends you can perform in front of, or whatever is it that you're trying to achieve. But ultimately, this is how you can find out about your inner obstacle. Found out is it comes from your thoughts process, it comes from your emotions that you can't control, or is it coming from a behavior that is not adjusted towards the performance that you want to achieve, or the goal that you want to achieve. Okay guys, so I hope this video helped you. As usual, you know, if you have any questions or if you have any suggestion, you can always send me an email. You can pass on this video as much as you want. And until next week, all I'm gonna say to you is peace, love and light. Bye bye.